Hey there, Stampin' friends. Welcome to Movie Monday with Jody Brackbell, Stampin' Queen. Here is today's card that we're going to create. This was another WOW class that we did, and this was something I saw on Pinterest a long time ago. I've created this one, so I really am not sure whose it was, but thank you. It was a great idea using the Rose Garden framelits and the Rose Wonder stamp set. And so it just opens like this, and then you've got a little sentiment on the inside. And like I said, we're going to use the Rose Wonder stamp set and the Rose Garden framelits, which I don't have, but this is one of the images that it creates, and I went ahead and die cut that out ahead of time. And I will tell you that one of the things that helps with this particular die cut, because it's so big and it's so intricate, is that I do use the precision base plate with this one and run that through just one time, and then I make sure that I roll it across the foam mat, and this little steel or little yeah, I don't know what they are, firm hard bristles helps to get all those little intricate pieces out of there. So one thing that can happen that we have noticed using with this one is a lot of times we want to run it through the Big Shot 3, 4, and 5 times just to make sure that it die cuts all those pieces, and that can kind of work against you a little bit on this particular one, because the more you run it through the Big Shot, the more it's really smashing that cardstock up into the die, and it's breaking down the fibers of the die, or the fibers of the paper, and so when you go to pull it out, it's tearing a lot. So try the precision base plate with this particular die, and I think you might be pretty pleased with how it turns out. So the next thing that I did, I'm going to take a piece of my basic black, and this is my card base. And then I created a template. So I found this was the easiest thing for us to do in creating this class. I wanted about a 1/2 inch border all around each edge. And so I went ahead and worked with it a little bit, got a template made. So it is the exact size of the front of my card, and then I took some sort of marker that's got color, either a white chalk marker, or this happens to be a metallic marker. We don't sell it anymore, but you can find them. A Sharpie would work, something that you can just trace the inside on this black cardstock, and that really helps you visually to see what you're doing when it's time to cut this piece out. So I just did a quick trace of the rectangle on the inside on the front of my card base, and then I took another piece which is the exact same size. This would be 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Did the exact same thing, trace that on there, and then I cut that out. So for time's sake, I did it. You can actually see a little bit of my trace line right there. I did that ahead of time because it's going to work exactly the same way that this one does. So let me scoot these things out of the way a little bit, and then I'm going to come in with my Stampin' Trimmer. So here's the problem, is that you have a hard time seeing the dimensions or the lines here because it's dark. And so rather than trying to find all these separate lines, I just did that with tracing. So what I do is I'm going to push my cardstock over here to about a 1/2 inch, which means that this line right here is kind of lined up right in the track, the groove there for the cutting. And you can see that the cutting blade has a little tiny point. We're going to make sure that we have that point lined up right here on this line that I just created, because that's where I'm going to start. And I'm just going to cut straight down to the second line. Then I'm going to keep turning it. Now I'm not going to worry too much if it's not exactly at a 1/2 inch. I'm just going to eyeball this line, making sure that it's in my track, but it comes out pretty close to about a 1/2 inch. So again, I have that little point. That is actually where your blade starts. So I have that lined up right on the line that I just drew, cut straight down to the other line, and then I'm just going to keep turning it and doing that each time until I have that center cut out. You could use an X-Acto knife. That would probably work just as well. This just happens to be what I have on hand. Which one am I missing? This one. Okay, so I'm gonna, let me think here. I'm gonna just do it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I had to move my cardstock just down a smidge because it is a card. All right, so that comes out of there. Scoot that out of the way here. Okay, so I might have like a little bit of gold still showing on there, and that is okay because I'm just going to flip my card over, and now it's going to be on the inside so nobody will see it. And then you can do something fun with this. Don't throw that away. That's something cool that you can use. And so what I'm going to do is open this, and I'm going to do some snail adhesive all around the edges. So I'm pretty liberal with this because I really want it to stick. And I want to keep in mind how it's going to open and close because I'm going to sandwich the rose right in here. Okay, so I just kind of want to make sure that I've got it where I want it. So I want to make sure that's going to be my front. So when it opens up, so I'm going to kind of go this way. And I do want to have a little bit of my rose touching that bottom. Doesn't have to be a lot, but enough that gives it some stability. So at the bottom of the rose attached to the bottom of my card, then I want to have my leaves touched over here. And then I have some leaves over here. Now you'll see that it's sticking off just a little bit, and that's okay. I can just snip that right off, not a problem. Okay, so then I'm going to put a little adhesive over the die that I just laid down so that it's sticky the whole way around, because then this little mat is going to come in here and it's going to cover exactly what I just cut out. So this is like I'm creating like a double frame almost, and I'm just kind of framing that. One of my sides is bigger than the other, so I'm not quite sure. You might have to kind of work it a little bit to make sure that it's lined up the right way. This piece, I want to just pull it over just a little smidge. And just make sure it's nice and flat there. And you can see now you have your rose sandwiched in between your two pieces of cardstock. So then I took my Very Vanilla piece, and what you want to make sure when you're stamping is that your fold is at the bottom so that it can fold out like that. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment in the middle. And this is a birthday one. So my sentiment just goes right there in the middle. And then I'm going to flip it over. And what I want to make sure of is that when I do have that in, so maybe eyeballing it a little bit, that you don't cover it up too much. So I'm going to put it up here in that corner. And then I would just attach that right to the inside of my cardstock, or inside of my card, and it'll fold down like that. And so we have this beautiful little sandwich rose birthday card. Super quick, super simple. So thanks so much for joining me, you guys. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week for Movie Monday.